Good morning, and thank you for joining us to go over the INTERalliance next steps from a company perspective. I know that all of you have been very, very invested in this program, and I wanted to spend some time today just going over what happens now to make sure that we're all on the same page and we understand what the expectations are from everyone's side. So, quick welcome and introduction for myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Heather Ackles. I am the Executive Director here at the INTERalliance of Greater Cincinnati. I have been in my position for 8 months, maybe a little bit longer now. But before that, I was a big partner and believer and supporter of INTERalliance in my previous role in Kroger Technology. So I'm excited to be running the intern program on this side versus the other side. I've learned a lot, I'll say that. So some program updates. We have had an incredible summer with the INTERalliance intern program for the first 3 rounds, and I think we are still working on round 4, but for the first 3 rounds, we had 164 applicants, and with those 164 applicants, we have executed 195 interviews, which in my opinion just completely blows my mind. I know that several of you in the WebEx have gone through a dozen or more interviews with the high school students. So huge, huge thank you for your time and your energy and your incredible support and passion and honestly organizational skills to help make that giant number feasible in such a short period of time. So those 164 applicants through the 195 interviews have been placed in 54 job positions this summer, which is incredible. Always pushing more. I'd love to see closer to that 100 number, but this is the largest number of interns that we have placed in the last 3 years. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your support from the company perspective into our program. And then the final number, which I'm very proud of, those 54 students will be placed in 12 amazing companies here in the city of Cincinnati. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you for your engagement across the board. So what happens now? You have your students. We're all very excited to get started. What are we doing now? From our side, we are focused very heavily on our administrative tasks. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of paperwork that needs to get knocked out. Mostly they're tax paperwork, but if you're doing background checks or drug screens or any of those other administrative type things, we're working through them now. We are also compiling the vacation survey information from each student. So when you make your offer to Susie, Susie accepts the offer and we reach out immediately and say, that's fantastic. What, if any, days this summer can you absolutely not work? And we capture all of that information and give that to you. I will send you that survey today. Mandatory training. Mandatory training is incredibly important to us here at the INTERalliance, and we've actually already executed one session at the beginning of May. But this training class is several hours. It has to be done in person, and they come to the office and we go over everything from professionalism to dress code, timeliness, how to answer communications. We even go through some YouTube videos on how to appropriately schedule a meeting. We also highlight very heavily how to handle conflict and what to do if you're ever put in a position that makes you uncomfortable. So if someone is talking about something that you don't feel like answering or is just obviously not appropriate for the workplace, what they should do and how they should move forward. This will prepare them for the office. Now, there are several students who have been in internships with INTERalliance before. They've been great resources to those students to just give them some feedback and kind of some visibility as to what this actually is and what it's not. It's been a really successful training. If there is anything at all that you want to make sure that I'm covering in that training for the students, please let me know soon so I can get added to the next couple of dates. And if you have something that would have impacted a student that's already completed training, I can make sure that I have that conversation and get that in front of them before they enter your workplace as well. So just let me know. Background checks, background checks, background checks. We're very much in the process of that, and those companies who require them are aware of where we are in the process. But if you have any questions specifically, please reach out to me. And then lastly, the students are excited. They're ready to talk to you. They're ready to get engaged. Now, I will tell you that they cannot start until they finish all of that great administrative work that we're putting together. But most of them are already there, very, very close. So after this meeting, I'm going to send out the contact information as well, so you can go ahead and get started. They are looking for information from you around what does the first day look like, where should they go, where should they park, who should they ask for, if there's any pieces of documentation that they need. They're more than aware that they're going to have a photo ID, but beyond that, if there's anything special that you require for day one, please, please, please include that in that communication that you're sending to them next. Payroll process. We are trying something new this year. The payroll process that we had in the past has been somewhat cumbersome both on the companies as well as on the students. We are going to be piloting a free system called Clockify, which allows everything to happen online. We're very excited, but as always, if you have any feedback, both positive or negative, please let us know on the Clockify pilot because we want to make this as seamless as possible for everyone involved. From a student perspective, they've already been informed that their timesheets, absolutely without exception, must be received by INTERalliance by 5 p.m. on Friday. Now, in the past, they would have to do a completely separate process. At this point, they basically just hit submit in the application, so it's much easier for them to hit that timeline, but it is a requirement if they want to get paid on time. Once we receive all of the timesheets, well, really, once that cutoff at 5 o'clock on Friday happens, INTERalliance will then export a report of all of the interns in your company and email that list to you. We do ask that you review that list and provide approval for the time. Never had any issue with it, but we want to make sure that we've got an extra set of eyes. And like I said, those approvals are required. If there is a special setup within your company, for example, if you have a group of interns in one department that's in a maybe even a different building than another department, and you would like those timesheets split, please let me know what those one-offs are, and we can set up the Clockify system and I think they call them the projects to meet your needs. We want to make it as easy for you as possible. All payroll questions, because these students are set up as contractors for you and really as employees under me, all questions should be filtered through INTERalliance. However, I know that the students, if they do have a question and you're in front of them, will ask you. So the students will be paid, just so you're aware, the students will be paid the following Friday after they submit their timesheet. So the process will be, they submitted at 5 o'clock on June 7th. On June 14th, they will be paid for the week of June 3rd to June 7th. At the end of this session, I will email you a payroll schedule. The students have that as well. So there shouldn't be any questions, but in the event that there are, you have all of the information to be successful to answer those. This is typically where I get questions on payment for the interns. The interns, the rate for the interns are $13.50 an hour for the 2019 summer. And we typically expect an intern to be on the ground 400 hours over the next 10 weeks. So that comes to a $5,400 investment for the intern. A lot of the companies are prepaying for this now, and then at the end of the intern program, so mid-August, we would take a look at each intern and say, okay, compared to that 400 hours, how did they land? And if it's more than 400 hours, we would send you a subsequent invoice. If it's less than 400 hours, then we would talk through reimbursement and what that process looks like. So we'll handle that on our side and be reaching out to each company individually for those of you who haven't already gone through that process. Feedback, 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 something that's very, very important to me personally, but to our organization without question. Throughout the intern program, both the companies and the students will be asked for their feedback. Students will receive their first survey at the beginning of the intern program, and that mostly just captures what information they're looking for and what are they looking to get out of it and what their goals are for the intern program. And then there's a lot of follow-up questions in the July and August surveys to help us understand if we met their expectations, if the company is meeting their needs, if they feel like they're getting supported, that type of stuff. On the company surveys, it's very similar, but the focal areas, are you getting what you need from the student, and are you getting what you need from central office? We will be reviewing the output from the surveys pretty much in real time, so if there is an issue that arises on that survey, we can address it with you, or we can address it with your student as close to immediately as possible. I don't want anyone to wait if there's something that needs to be addressed for a survey, but I just want you to know that we will be taking action as needed. Okay, so that leads us directly into student management. And Student management, as I said, these individuals are employees of INTERalliance and contractors through you. So for a behavioral issue or anything that's happening that you would typically engage, an HR or a contracting company, you should engage me. And those things are attendance, attitude, dress code, etc. I'll say that I've worked with the INTERalliance students for a very, very long time, over 5 years, and it is incredibly rare for you to have an issue that is severe. But in the event that you need anything from me, I'm here and you have my full support. Just reach out and I'll do everything I can to correct the situation as soon as possible. Um, as far as special needs for your internship, background checks are always on this list, and I'm already working on those for those who need it. But if your company requires something extra, like a bring your own device, or you want some training, or they should take this online program before they get here, whatever it is, please contact me as soon as possible so I can get that in the hands of the students sooner rather than later. We want to make sure that you're successful. We want to make sure that they're successful. So the more that we can communicate, the better. Typically, this is where we would go through a Q&A session. Typical questions I get do come around the invoicing process, um, timeline, vacation, those types of things, which I believe we've covered in this program. Also, we have some frequently asked questions that we have on the list on why we should hire interns, those types of things that are available on interalliance.org if additional information is needed. As always, you can contact heather.ackles@interalliance.org with specific questions. So after this session, typically you would receive a copy of the presentation. This is completely posted, so you have access to that now. The payroll schedule for the students, any student contact information with their email and their phone number, as well as that student vacation survey. If you're watching this session on demand and you have not received those things from me already, please reach out directly. We will not publish those anywhere where they're publicly available. Contact information, you have my email. For those of you who are unaware, Patrick Cummings just joined us and is replacing Luke Lampy, who was our previous associate director. We adore and love and are incredibly proud of Luke and support him greatly as he is moving on to focus more on his college career and his future outside of INTERalliance, and we couldn't be prouder. Patrick is joining us currently from St. Henry High School. He graduates, I want to say, in a couple of weeks at this point, and will be going to Northern Kentucky University. And we are very, very excited to have him on our team as our new associate director. And as always, with any questions, you can reach out to one of us or central.office@interalliance.org. And that wraps up everything for our next step session for the intern program. Hopefully this covered all of your questions and anything that you would need. If not, please reach out to Heather Ackles directly, and I'd be happy to answer those questions or give you more insight. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time this morning. And if I can do anything, please let me know. Have a great day.